She came home from a weekend trip, visiting her mom to divorce papers. So, my wife walks through the front door Sunday evening with her overnight bag, calling out that she's home, all cheerful, like she just had the best weekend visiting her mom. I'm sitting there at the kitchen table with a stack of papers in front of me. She sees them, sees me, and her whole face just changes. I slid those papers over to her. They were divorce papers and she needed to sign them. She thought she would spend the weekend at her mom's place in Clearwater. But what she did was give me a few days to blow up our entire marriage. I, 51 male, been married for 19 years. To my wife, 50 female. We have 2 kids, boys 17, girls 15. We live in Hillsborough County, decent neighborhood, nothing too fancy, but it's home. I'm an HVAC technician, been doing it almost 30 years now, and my wife works as an office manager at a dental practice. We're regular middle-class folks. House is about halfway paid off. We take a vacation to the Panhandle every summer. The kids are good kids. I thought we were doing pretty good, but looking back now, I can see things started changing maybe 6 or 7 months ago. She started dressing differently for work, not too revealing, but maybe screaming for some attention. Plus, she started buying new clothes, getting her hair done more often. At first, I thought that was great. We're in our 50s. She's taking care of herself, still wants to look good. Then she joined this gym, started going after work a few times a week. Again, I was supportive, told her I was proud of her, but then the late nights started happening more and more. Always had an excuse. End of month billing, the dentist needs help with patient files, someone called in sick, so she had to cover. And she's on her phone constantly now, but keeps it tilted away from me. Takes it with her everywhere. It never left her sight. She would freak out if anyone touched it besides her. About 2 months ago, she starts talking about wanting to visit her mom more often. Her mom's 73, lives in a retirement community in Clearwater, about 45 minutes from us. She said her mom's getting older and she should spend more time with her, and how was I going to argue with that? So she starts doing these weekend trips, once a month at first, then every couple weeks. She'd leave Friday after work, come back Sunday evening. The kids and I would have guys' weekend, order pizza, watch movies. It was fine. But then something happened 3 weeks ago that changed everything. My daughter needed to call her grandma about a school project. She's doing this family history thing for school. So my daughter calls her grandma on Saturday afternoon while my wife's supposedly there visiting, and her grandma answers and says she hasn't seen my daughter's mother in over a month. My daughter comes and finds me in the garage with this look on her face and tells me what grandma said. I'm standing there with a wrench in my hand just staring at her, my brain trying to process what I just heard. I told my daughter maybe there's some confusion. Maybe grandma forgot she's getting up there in age. But my daughter's 15, she's not stupid, and she just looked at me and asked where her mom really goes. I didn't have an answer for her. That night after my daughter went to bed, I'm sitting in my garage trying to make sense of it. Maybe there's some explanation. Maybe my wife's going somewhere else first, and then to her mom's. But I couldn't shake this feeling in my gut that something wasn't right. The next day, I'm at work, up in an attic installing ductwork, and I can't stop thinking about it. So, on my lunch break, I pull out my phone and order one of those tracking devices from Amazon, like an AirTag type thing. I told myself I'm probably being paranoid, but I needed to know. Wednesday, it arrived, and Thursday morning before my wife left for work, I went out to her car like I was getting something from my truck, and I stuck that tracker under her front bumper. Magnetic mount took about 2 seconds. Then I went about my day like nothing happened. Friday morning, 2 weeks ago now, she's packing her overnight bag, telling me she's going to spend the weekend with her mom because her mom hasn't been feeling well. I watched her back out of the driveway, and then I opened the tracking app on my phone. I watched that little dot drive south on 275. If she was going to Clearwater, she'd take the Courtney Campbell Causeway west, but she didn't. She stayed on 275 south, took the exit for the airport area, and then that little dot just stopped moving in Tampa, not Clearwater. I took a screenshot of it, then I just sat there staring at my phone for I don't know how long. She lied straight to my face. She drove to Tampa and lied about it. I thought about calling her right then, confronting her, demanding to know where she really was. But something told me not to. Something told me to wait and be smart about this. Saturday, I spent the day with my kids, took them to the movies, got lunch, tried to act normal, even though I felt like I was going to be sick. My daughter kept giving me these looks. She knew something was wrong. That night, I checked the tracker again, and it was still in Tampa, same spot. Sunday afternoon, the tracker started moving, drove back north on 275, got off at our exit, pulled into our driveway. 10 minutes later, she walked in with her overnight bag, all smiles, telling me her mom says, "Hi." I just said okay and went to the garage. Monday morning, I called my boss and told him I needed a day and told him why. I didn't hold anything back. He was speechless, but told me not to do anything stupid. Then I Googled private investigators in Tampa and started making calls. Found a guy. We talked on the phone. I had really good vibes about him, and he told me he has been doing this for almost 20 years. I met him at a Denny's that afternoon and showed him the tracker screenshots, told him about my daughter calling grandma, told him about the lies. I told him I needed to know what she was doing, and I needed proof of it. He said next time she goes on one of these trips, I should call him and he'll follow her, document everything, get me photos and video. Said it would cost $3,000 for the weekend. That's a lot of money for us, but I needed to know, so I told him to do it. I gave him a picture of her, what kind of car she drove, and where she worked. I went home and waited. Wednesday, my wife mentioned she was thinking about visiting her mom again that weekend. I told her that was great. Her mom probably appreciated the company. Thursday, I called the investigator and told him she was going this weekend. Leaves Friday after work. He said he would be ready. Friday morning, she packed her bag, kissed me goodbye, told the kids she would see them Sunday, and drove away. I called the investigator and told him she just left. He said he was on it. That was the longest weekend of my life. I didn't hear from the investigator at all. He told me he would contact me Sunday evening with his report. Saturday, I kept checking that tracker app, watching that dot sitting in Tampa. Saturday night, I barely slept. Sunday evening, she came home all smiles with stories about her visit with her mom. I just shook my head and smiled and went to the garage. An hour later, my phone rang, and it was the investigator. He said he had everything I needed and asked if I could meet him. I told my wife I had to run to Home Depot, needed a part for a job tomorrow. Met the investigator at the same Denny's, and he gave me a folder. He told me he followed her from our house Friday evening, and she drove to the Marriott near the airport in Tampa, parked in the lot, and 20 minutes later, some guy showed up in a black BMW. They met in the parking lot, hugged, kissed, went into the hotel together. He got photos of all of it. My heart was beating hard when I opened that envelope. There they were, my wife of 19 years, in a parking lot with some guy, his arm around her waist, her smiling up at him, them walking into the hotel together. The investigator kept talking, said Saturday he staked out the hotel and they came out around noon, went to lunch at a restaurant down the street, then back to the hotel, didn't come out again until Sunday morning, had breakfast. Then the guy left in his BMW and my wife left in her car. He said he got the guy's license plate number and it's documented in his report, but he can't legally give me the guy's personal information. He gave me a printed report with dates, times, locations, everything documented. He told me it was ironclad evidence, more than enough for any attorney. I just sat there looking at those photos of my wife with another man going into a hotel. It's one thing to suspect something. It's another thing entirely to see it right there in front of you. The investigator asked if I was okay, and I said yeah, but I wasn't. I paid him in cash. I'd been pulling money from the ATM all week, 20 bucks here, 40 bucks there, so she wouldn't notice anything weird. Then I drove home with that envelope on my passenger seat. I didn't go inside right away, staring off into space. Then I called my buddy, the one who went through a divorce a few years back, and told him I needed the name of his attorney. Monday morning, I took another day and met with a divorce attorney at 9 a.m. My boss was cool the whole time. I laid it all out for him. The lies, the tracker, the private investigator, the photos, everything. He looked through it all and told me it was very thorough work. Then he explained how Florida divorce law works. He said Florida's a no-fault state, which means I don't need to prove adultery to get divorced. I just need to show the marriage is irretrievably broken, which basically means it's broken beyond repair. That's all the court needs to hear. But he also said this evidence can affect other parts of the divorce. If she tries to claim she needs alimony from me, this evidence might reduce or eliminate that, especially if I can show she spent any of our money on this affair. Same thing with dividing up our property and assets. If she wasted any of our marital money on hotel rooms or gifts or whatever, the judge could take that into account when splitting things up. He said it generally won't affect custody of the kids unless I can prove her behavior directly hurt them, which is hard to do. I told him I just wanted it done. I wanted out. We spent 2 hours going over everything: the house, our debts, the cars, what I wanted, what I thought was fair. He said he could have the petition ready by Friday. I could serve her myself if I wanted, or he could arrange for someone else to do it. I told him I would do it myself. Friday afternoon, I picked up the papers from his office. Petition for dissolution of marriage with all the documentation attached. I stuck them in my truck and drove home. That evening, my wife asked me what was wrong because I have been quiet all week. I just told her I was tired. Work had been busy. She believed it. This past weekend, she didn't go anywhere, just stayed home, did laundry, made dinner, acted like everything was hunky-dory. And I just watched her, thinking about those photos, thinking about how easily she could lie. This afternoon, she mentioned she might visit her mom next weekend. I said that was great. Tonight, after dinner, she said she needed to run to Target to pick up some things. While she was gone, I got those papers out and put them on the table and waited for her to return. 8:30, she came home with her Target bags, calling out that she was home. She walked into the kitchen all cheerful, and then she saw me at the table and saw the papers. She asked what that was, and I handed them to her and told her they were divorce papers and she needed to sign them. Her smile just died right there on her face. She asked what I was talking about. I told her she hadn't been visiting her mom. She'd been in Tampa at a hotel with another man. Her eyes got wide, and she took a step back, like she was in total shock. She started to say she didn't know what I was talking about, but I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the photos. Her and that guy in the hotel parking lot, his arm around her. She just stared at the photo and asked where I got it. I told her that was irrelevant. I had photos, video, documentation of everywhere she went last weekend. I had proof she lied. I had everything I needed. She sat down heavy in a chair, and the Target bags fell to the floor. She just kept saying, "Oh my God," over and over. I asked her how long has she been fucking around on me. She didn't answer. I told her it didn't matter anyway. It was over, and she needed to sign the papers. She said we needed to talk about it as a family. I told her there was nothing to talk about. She'd been lying to me, lying to our kids, spending her weekends with some other guy while telling us she was visiting her mom. She destroyed this marriage. There was nothing left to talk about. We were done. She claimed it just happened and it was a mistake. I told her I had photos of her kissing him in a parking lot and walking into a hotel room with him. Yeah, that wasn't a mistake. She started crying then. She said we could make this work and she would do anything, sign anything, give me access to everything. I told her no, we couldn't, and she needed to sign the papers. She said she wasn't signing anything. I told her fine. Then my attorney would have her served at work on Monday, and it was her choice. Sign them here in private or have the whole dental office know her business. When the process server showed up, she looked at me like she didn't recognize me anymore. Maybe she didn't. I didn't recognize her either. She said I was really doing this. I told her she already did it. I was just finishing it. We sat there in silence, and then I heard footsteps on the stairs. My daughter came into the kitchen saying she heard something, and then she stopped when she saw her mother crying and saw the papers on the table. She asked what was happening. I told her that her mom and I were getting a divorce. My daughter looked at her mother, then at me, and said it was because she wasn't really visiting Grandma. It wasn't even a question. My wife told her to go back upstairs. This didn't concern her. My daughter said like hell it didn't. She has never cursed like that before. And she said she called Grandma 3 weeks ago, and Grandma told her my wife wasn't there, and she told me, and she knew something was wrong. I told her I have known she was lying for 3 weeks, and I'd known she was cheating for 1 week. My son came downstairs then. He's 17 now, taller than me, asking what all the noise was about. My daughter told him I was divorcing Mom because she has been lying about visiting Grandma, and she'd been with another man. My son looked at his mother and asked if it was true. My wife just cried. He asked her straight up if she did it or not. She didn't answer. He said unbelievable and turned and went back upstairs. My daughter followed him. My wife and I sat there alone. She said I just turned our kids against her. I told her I didn't do anything. She made these choices. She lied to all of us. She wiped her eyes, tears running down her face. She said she wasn't signing the papers tonight. I told her she had until Monday at 5 p.m. and after that, she would be getting served at work. She said I couldn't just throw away 19 years. I told her I wasn't the one who threw it away. She did that when she decided whatever she had going with that guy was worth more than her family. She said it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I asked how it was supposed to happen. Was she just going to keep lying forever? She didn't have an answer for that. I told her to pack a bag. She was staying somewhere else tonight. She said it was her house too. I told her she was welcome to come back when she'd signed those papers, but tonight she was leaving. She stared at me for a long time. Then she got up and went upstairs. I heard drawers opening, heard her moving around up there. 20 minutes later, she came back down with a suitcase. She said she hoped I was happy. I told her I wasn't happy about any of this, but I was done being lied to. She looked at me, still crying, and asked where she was supposed to go. I told her I didn't know. Maybe her boyfriend's place, maybe a hotel, maybe her mom's, but oh wait, her mom didn't even know she'd been using her as an alibi all this time, did she? She grabbed her suitcase and her keys. She said I was going to regret this. I told her the only thing I regretted was not figuring it out sooner. She left. I heard the garage door open, heard her car start, heard her drive away. Then I sat at that kitchen table for a long time, just staring at those papers. 19 years of marriage, gone. That was tonight, about an hour ago. I'm sitting here in my garage now with a beer, trying to process everything that just happened. My kids are upstairs. I checked on them a few minutes ago. My son told me I did the right thing, and my daughter just hugged me. They're upset, but they understand why it had to happen. My phone's been buzzing. She's been texting me, calling me, but I'm not answering. There's nothing left to say. I called my buddy and told him what happened, and he said, "Good for you, man. Stay strong." And now I'm just here in my garage in the house I've lived in for 12 years, the house we raised our kids in. I'm realizing that everything I thought my life was, it wasn't real. She's been living a double life for who knows how long, and I was just too trusting to see it. But I see it now, and I'm not going to unsee it. Tomorrow, I'll call her mom and tell her what's been happening. She deserves to know why her daughter's been using her as a cover story all this time. I'll talk to my kids some more, make sure they're really okay. I'll go back to work and try to focus on the jobs I've got lined up this week. And I'll wait to see if she signs those papers or if I have to have her served at work. Either way, it's over. 19 years of marriage, 2 kids, a whole life built with each other, and she threw it away for weekend hotel stays with some guy whose name I don't even know. People will probably say I should have tried to work it out, should have given her a chance to explain. The hell with that. There's no explanation that makes this okay. There's no excuse for lying to your spouse and your kids for months. There's no justification for sneaking around behind your family's back while you're supposedly visiting your elderly mother. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with the consequences. And me, I get to figure out what comes next. But at least I'll be doing it with my dignity intact. At least I'm not the guy sitting at home while his wife's in a hotel room with another man, completely clueless. At least now I know the truth. And the truth is, I deserve better than this. My kids deserve better than this. We all deserve better than someone who treats marriage like it's disposable. Some guy at work went through this a couple years ago, and he told me back then that the worst part wasn't the cheating itself, it was the lying. It was looking someone in the eye every single day while they lied to your face. It was wondering how long they would have kept it up if they hadn't gotten caught. And he was right. That's exactly what it feels like. Every time she kissed me goodbye on her way to visit her mom, every time she came home with stories about how her mom was doing, every time she looked me in the eye and lied, that's what hurts the most. Not even the cheating itself, but the fact that she could do it so easily, like she didn't give a shit, that she was destroying our family, that she could compartmentalize her life like that, be one person at home and another person in Tampa. I keep thinking about all the times I could have caught her if I'd been paying attention. The new clothes, the gym membership, the phone secrecy, everything. All the classic signs were right there, and I missed them because I trusted her. Because after 19 years of marriage, you're not supposed to have to be a detective in your own home. You're supposed to be able to trust that when your wife says she's going to visit her mom, that's actually where she's going. But I guess that's not the world I live in anymore. Now I live in a world where I have to verify everything, where I can't take anything at face value, where trust is something I'll probably struggle with for a long time. And that pisses me off more than anything, because she didn't just destroy our marriage, she damaged my ability to trust anyone. My kids are going to grow up with divorced parents now, going to have to split holidays, going to have to deal with all the complications that come with that, all because she wanted to be a slut and ruin our marriage, all because she decided that whatever excitement or validation she was getting from this guy was worth more than the family she built. I don't know what happens next. I know there will be court dates and paperwork and splitting up assets and figuring out custody arrangements. I know it's going to be messy and painful and expensive. I know my kids are going to struggle with this, even though they understand why it had to happen. I know I'm going to have some really hard days ahead, but I also know that I did the right thing. I could have ignored it, could have pretended I didn't know, could have let it keep happening while I lived in denial. Some guys do that. They know their wife's cheating, but they're too scared of being alone, or too worried about the kids, or too comfortable with their life to do anything about it. But that's not me. I'm not going to be that guy who knows he's being played and just accepts it. I'm not going to model that for my kids. Show them that it's okay to stay with someone who lies to you and betrays you. They need to see that there are consequences for that kind of behavior. They need to see that their dad has enough self-respect to walk away from someone who doesn't respect him. Yep, she came home from a weekend trip to divorce papers, and honestly, that's exactly what she deserved. Would I do it differently if I could go back? Maybe I would have hired that private investigator sooner, gotten proof faster, not spent those 2 weeks feeling sick every time I looked at her. But then again, maybe it happened exactly the way it needed to happen, because doing it this way, with all the evidence lined up, with the papers ready to go, with everything documented, she couldn't lie her way out of it. She couldn't gaslight me or make me doubt what I knew was true. She couldn't turn it around on me for not trusting her. She just had to sit there and face what she'd done, and that's worth something. So here I am, 51 years old, starting over. Never ever thought I would be here. Never thought I'd be the guy with the cheating wife and the divorce papers and the kids who have to choose which parent to live with. But life doesn't always work out the way you plan. Sometimes the person you trust most in the world turns out to be someone you don't know at all. And when that happens, you've got two choices. You can stay and let them keep doing it, or you can walk away and build something better. I'm choosing to walk away. I'm choosing to show my kids that you don't accept being treated like that. I'm choosing to believe that there's something better out there for me than a marriage built on lies, and maybe that makes me cold or harsh or unforgiving, but I don't think so. I think it makes me someone who knows their worth, someone who refuses to settle for being second choice, someone who won't let anyone, not even the person they married 19 years ago, make them feel like a fool. So she fucked around and found out and came home to divorce papers. And I sleep better tonight, knowing I'm not married to a liar anymore.